Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we have to talk about dealership layoffs because, well, dealers are starting to fire a lot of people, and we have to talk about exactly why this is happening and what their strategy is in the short term and in the long term. But before we get into this video, as always, if you can save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. Now, before I dive into this video, I need to mention there is a flaw with this video, and that is the fact that I don't have any national data for what I'm talking about. And this is because most car dealerships are at-will employers. What this means is that they can fire their employees at any time without any reason given. And their employees can also quit at any time without any reason given. The joke we'd always make in the car business is that you don't put in your 2 weeks, you put in your 2 seconds, as in you grab your crap and you leave the dealership. It's just how that world works. And so you're not going to see, quote unquote, dealership layoffs. You're not going to see severance packages, right? If a dealership is done with a person, they just kick them out and that's it. Like, that is just how brutal the car business is. And so that means that collecting data on this is very, very difficult. You're just not going to find data out there. And the other thing is, this isn't really going to affect the unemployment rate, because with the unemployment rate, how that works is they basically go and take a particular region of people and they take the population and how many people are employed and then how many people have been looking for jobs within the last 4 weeks. If a person has not been looking for a job within the last 4 weeks, then they get booted out. And so you can imagine if someone's working at a dealership and then they just instantly get, like, they go to work one day and then the next day their boss is like, you're fired, and it's that quick, then you can understand that it might take a little bit longer than 4 weeks for that person to find a job. So they might never get recorded under the, quote unquote, unemployment rate for an area. And then on top of that, with how the car business works, people aren't typically going on to third-party sites to get a new job. What usually happens if someone gets kicked out of a dealership, they literally just go to other dealerships and basically try to get a job, or maybe they have connections at other dealerships already and they just reach out to those people and then get another job. And so what you basically see a lot of times in the car business is that people get booted out and then they're just out, and then again they'll never get counted for anything, or they'll basically go from one dealership to the next within like a day or two. And so it's always weird with the dealership world, but that's just how it works. And that's why you're never really going to see any sort of national data on what's happening within the car business. You kind of have to be in the business to know what's happening. Well, with that disclaimer out of the way, let's dive into this situation. Well, if you've been living under a rock, the car market is in a pretty interesting place. The wholesale side of things with used cars have been declining every single week for like the past year. And so this has led dealers to make a lot less profit on used cars because, well, whenever they take used cars as trade-in, well, they lose value every single week. And so they just can't make the profits they used to. And frankly, a lot of dealers are losing money on used cars. Now, it's not as bad as what it looked like a month or two ago, but it's still not great for overall dealership profitability. And then on top of that, when it comes to the new car market, well, new cars have gotten so expensive that the buying demand for new cars has died down substantially. What we basically saw this year is that new car demand at the beginning of the year was sky high, like everything was sold out. But then as the year progressed, as these used car wholesale values declined, it seemed like at the same time, new car inventory started increasing. And now we're at a point where there's actually been a big shift where people that were new car buyers are now used car buyers because they just simply can't afford new cars with the prices they're at, and then also with where interest rates are at, because interest rates have increased by a massive amount. But then those people see the used car prices and they go, well, I can't afford that, but it's still too expensive for what it is. And so then they just take themselves out of the market altogether. And so with less consumers in the market, it just puts dealerships in a place where they aren't making the profits they were over the last couple of years. And if they aren't making the profits they were making over the last couple of years, that means that, well, they're going to have to start getting rid of people. And when I dove a little bit deeper into this by talking to a bunch of different dealers, what I discovered is that just like what you saw in the tech industry, dealers hired a bunch of people over the last couple of years because of just how much of a boom there was. Yes, car inventory was at an all-time low, but dealers were still selling a decent amount of cars and they were making record profits. And so, yeah, they were just hiring people for all sorts of jobs to just keep things going. They're doing the same thing that the tech industry was doing. But again, everything is retracted now. And so dealers now are just basically overloaded. They have way too many people. And so here are the main areas that are going to get quote unquote layoffs. Again, they're not really layoffs because most dealers, like I said, are at-will employers. So these are the areas, I guess, that are going to get fired. So first area, lot techs, believe it or not. So if you don't know what a lot technician is, this is the position at the dealership that basically organizes the lot. So they park the cars and then they clean the cars. Well, most dealers are saying, well, first off, we still don't have inventories at the levels we had prior to the pandemic. And on top of that, we aren't selling as many cars as we were just a few months ago. So we don't need you to organize the lot. We'll just have our salespeople do it. And if the salespeople sell a car, we'll just have the salespeople clean their cars by themselves. And this is literally what dealers are doing. They're basically having their salespeople organize the lot on the downtime. And again, some of these dealers just still have so few cars in inventory that they don't need to pay someone, $15, $20 an hour to park cars for them when they can just basically, again, have a salesperson do it while they're just, instead of sitting there playing Candy Crush waiting for a customer to come in, they can go and park cars. So that's the first area where you're seeing a lot of people get fired. And then salespeople, that's another area where you're starting to see people get fired as well, because again, dealers hired quite a few salespeople over the last couple of years. And now with the market we're going into, dealers don't want to have any salespeople that aren't selling a large number of cars. And the method behind this is what a lot of dealers are seeing is that, well, they have a salesperson that might only sell 2 or 3 cars per month, but that salesperson, chances are, might be talking to the most amount of customers. And so if the other salesperson that was, a little bit more experienced was talking to those customers, they might actually turn those deals into car deals. And so they'd rather just get rid of the salesperson that's only selling a few cars a month and basically, have that other salesperson that's selling way more cars per month talk to all of that salesperson's customers. At least that's what they think is going to happen in theory. In reality, maybe those customers that other salesperson was talking to will no longer get talked to because the other salesperson will be too busy on their computer or something. If you are in the car business, you kind of understand. But again, there's going to be a lot of salespeople that are going to be out of a job soon. We're not going to see, the dealership model of having, a showroom full of salespeople and then a parking lot full of salespeople. Like those days are gone. What we are basically moving towards is you're going to have a bunch of salespeople that are on computers that are working internet leads at a dealer, and then you're going to have like maybe 1 or 2 salespeople that'll be at the front of the dealership to basically get the customers that come, on the lot. Again, most people buy through the internet nowadays, and so the world's changed. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of salespeople go. The next position is going to be sales managers and finance managers. So sales managers, that's the position where the person works the car deal, and then finance manager, that's the person that does your loan and tries to sell you extended warranties and everything. And the thought process behind this actually applies also to the salespeople. Basically, dealerships got stuffed with way too many managers over the last couple of years because, again, profit's really high. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll hire another manager to work more car deals to make it so that we can make even more profits. But now they're realizing that having extra managers doesn't actually necessarily lead to more profits on both the sales manager side of things and the finance manager side of things. And so they're just basically trimming down and having fewer of both. And both those positions are now going to obviously work a few more hours, but then they're going to make a little bit more money because they're not sharing the pool of money with as many people as they were before. Now, before we talk about where I think that this is ultimately going to lead to, I do want to talk about an area of the dealership that's quite a bit more stable, and that is the service department, believe it or not. I have said this in several videos, but I do want to say it again. The service department obviously will be affected if we go into an economic state that's a lot worse than where we're at right now. But even though people, might not be buying cars, they're always going to have their cars serviced no matter what's happening with the economy because people need to get around. And so people in the service department will always have consistent work. And so you're not going to see the same level of firings in the service department. Like they're not going to go and fire mechanics and service advisors because frankly, there's actually a shortage of both of those positions right now. And so that's actually where I foresee some of these, salespeople and managers actually going into is these service departments. If they're smart, right? If they think that they need to be in sales, then, well, there's a chance that they just might be kicked out of the car industry for the next couple of years. But if they see where things are shifting, then they'll understand that, okay, you know what, the sales thing isn't going to work right now, but I'll go get yelled at for 8 hours a day being a service advisor, or I will go yell at a car for 8 hours a day as I fix it as a mechanic. Now let's talk about where this leads, and I actually think that the outcome is going to be pretty positive. Now, it always sucks to see people lose their job, But I think that this is actually going to help quite a few people out, because having zombie employees is never a good thing. That's a term that I don't even know if that's a real term, because zombie company is obviously a term, but now we're going to say zombie employees, right? People that are basically working at a business and they're not really providing enough value. And this is really important at a dealership. The example I'm going to give is two different salespeople. One salesperson sells 3 cars a month, and the other salesperson sells about 20 cars per month. Now, the salesperson that sells 3 cars per month typically is only selling that many cars because they usually don't have a lot of product knowledge, and they typically just aren't good with people. And so if you get rid of that person and then have those extra 3 car deals per month go to the more experienced salesperson that's selling 20 plus, well, they're most likely going to give those customers a better experience, because they probably are selling the other 20 cars per month because, well, again, product knowledge is better, and then their customer service is also better as well. And then the chances of the dealer keeping that employee is a lot higher. And this is really important because Pareto's distribution applies to dealerships 100%, right? You're going to have a small group of salespeople. They're going to sell most of the cars. And so if you can keep those people that are in that small group like super loyal to your dealership, that is going to be good business for you. They are going to make way more money for your store than you will ever pay them. So I think this is ultimately going to lead to just more efficiencies with dealers. And again, this is what we're going to see just across the business world, where companies are going to become a lot more efficient. And so this just means that, well, we're going from, I guess, an employees market to an employers market, where people are going to have to basically prove to employers why they should be there, why they are actually worth being employed. And this, again, is seriously going to be slowly, honed in more and more at dealers as time goes on. And again, I see this as a good thing, because this means that the salespeople that do work at dealers are going to make more money, so they're just going to be happier with their jobs, and the customers are going to have a better experience, because they're not going to end up with the rookie salesperson that doesn't know anything about the vehicle and then gives them a frustrating buying experience. They're going to end up with the person that not only knows everything about the vehicle, but they know how to, cater to the customer and give them, at least a decent experience, right, with buying the car. Well, that's going to sum things up with our video talking about how dealers are basically firing all of their employees. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this, and if you think this is positive or negative for you as consumers. Like I said in the video, I think overall it's going to lead to a much better dealership experience, but I could see that, some people might see this as negative, because I guess you won't be able to run into the rookie salesperson that you'll be able to take advantage of if you know things about the car business and car world. But yeah, see ya.